Hey guys, welcome back to Streak Initiative, and we are actually in the last few days of our Streak Initiative. We've covered a lot of topics from polity to economics, and I hope some of the ideas, some of the topics were important revision tools for you, that is in the upcoming prelims. So this week we're going to cover geography for prelims 2021, and that too important current affairs related topics, and next week we're going to pick up history. And by then I guess all the topics subject wise would have been covered. Few ideas would have been picked up every week from each subject. So coming back to this week, we're talking about geography. And again, before I start with the questions, do register for Streak Initiative. You'll find the link below in the description box. You can access a lot of free UPSC material once you register for it. And let's move on to our first questions with respect to your geography related questions. Now, see, current affairs related geography questions can be a bit tricky because both in geography and history portion, you more have static related questions. But I've picked up few questions which were there in your current affairs and also linked it to some of your static portion. So the first question that we're going to talk about is tropical cyclones. A very important topic also from current affairs. It's always there in news, and also it's an important static portion. So there are three statements given with respect to it. The first statement is a tropical cyclone is a rotating low pressure weather system that has organized a thunderstorm but has no fronts. Second is that tropical cyclones rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere. And the third statement is that the tropical cyclones across the globe, except South Pacific typhoons, are moving westward closer to the land in recent decades. You have to identify which is the correct statement here. Now, if you've done your static portion very well, then I think statement 1 and 2 you should be able to attempt very easily. Alright, so and if you know that answer, I think you don't even need to know the portion for third statement here. So talking about the first statement, tropical cyclones are in fact, they are low pressure rotating. Always remember the inner eye is always a low pressure area for tropical cyclones. You can go back and revise that topic also, look at the diagram also. You'll be able to recapitulate all the things that you've learned there. It does have thunderstorms. If you remember, all the outer portion like eye of the cyclone is a calmer region, but beyond that we have thunderstorms, we have a lot of rains and showers. So that is true. It has no fronts. Now fronts is not associated with the tropical cyclones. Fronts is something that you have in the cyclones which you face in the mid latitude ranges, right? So that is where the fronts come into play. So it has got nothing to do with the tropical cyclones. That is more of a temperate cyclone kind of a phenomena. So the first statement is very much correct. And when we talk about the second statement, so again, if you've done your static portion well, I think you'll be able to attempt this question. It is not clockwise, it is counterclockwise. Again, the phenomena of Coriolis force and how it leads to anti-clockwise movement in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern, that is pretty much understood. So statement 2 is wrong, and once you know about this, then I think the option that is left here is either A or either C. So first statement is correct, second is wrong. Now third statement is something that was linked to the idea of current affairs. Now there was a study in Science journal which actually found that a lot of tropical cyclones across the globe, except the Atlantic hurricanes, are moving closer to the land in recent decades. And this particular news was actually also covered by the Hindu. So that is why I've picked up this news. The news per se, I don't think is very important for prelims, but the topic here is important. You should know basics about tropical cyclones and all those ideas. That is very important. So statement 3 is wrong here. It's not South Pacific typhoons, but it's Atlantic region, right? So Atlantic hurricanes is, except for that region, everything is moving landward. And other things that report stated was that, about 30 kilometers per decade, there has been a shift towards westward side since 1982. And the Atlantic hurricane basin did not show any kind of westward drift here, and that was the basic news that had come. So statement 3 here is wrong, statement 2 here is wrong, statement 1 here is right. So answer is here A. Again, tropical, temperate, all these cyclones, all these weather phenomena, very important for your prelims as well as for your mains. So do revise them properly. The next thing that we're going to talk about is mid-ocean ridges. And you have to identify the correct statement with respect to it. So the first statement is, they are created by upwelling of basaltic lava and lateral rifting of ocean crust. Second is, they cover the largest fraction of abyssal zone in Arctic Ocean and is absent from Mediterranean and Black Sea. And third is, your mid-ocean ridges are the Earth's largest volcanic system. And fourth is, they are completely absent from your South Pacific Ocean. Now, you have to identify the correct code here. You can pause the video, look at the options again and choose your answer. So the answer for this question is actually A. All the statements are correct except for statement 4. So let's look into each statement here. So the first statement talks about how they are created. Now it's very common phenomena that mid-oceanic ridges, you have this lava that comes out of the Earth's the molten state from the mantle, and it comes out to your crust, and that is where you get these mid-oceanic ridges, right? And slowly there's this rifting of oceanic crust. So you've studied all the theories with respect to it, right? So ocean sea drifting theory and all those things. So this statement is very much right, and I think if you have basic understanding of mid-oceanic ridges, you could easily understand that the first statement is very much right. And in fact, these mid-ocean ridges, they actually form a rift valley system which encircle the Earth along the length of 75,000 kilometers. So first statement is very much right. Now second statement is also correct. Now one way to know about this statement is, if you've downloaded the map of mid-oceanic ridges. Now don't confuse the boundary lines of plates with mid-ocean ridges. They both are completely different, right? You might have some areas which are similar to it, but again they are different. So you can Google the map of mid-ocean ridges, and you will see that there is no ridge in Mediterranean and the Black Sea, right? And in fact, if you see that map also, you will understand that the fourth statement is wrong. There is a ridge very much present in the South Pacific Ocean. So from your map, you can easily attempt the second and the fourth statement. Fourth is wrong here. Second is very much right, and the Arctic ridge, where you have the mid-oceanic ridges, that is actually known as Gakkel ridge, right? So that ridge is there, which is present in your Arctic Ocean. So statement 2 is right here, and statement 4 is wrong here, and statement 3 is very much right. Or maximum 75% of the volcanic activities that is present on the Earth is surrounding these mid-oceanic ridges. So it's important you look at the map also, then you'll get the idea of the volcanic activities also, right? So yeah, this question was pretty interesting. One thing that I would urge you all to go and look at the map of mid-ocean ridges, and I think with that you can easily solve this question. Next, move on to the question, which is a short question. Now here the question is polar fleeing force. Now why have I put this question? Because in your previous year question, this same concept has been asked, like polar fleeing force has been asked in your previous year question. So this topic automatically becomes very important. You can pause the video, read the question and think about it. What would be the answer? I'll give you the answer also. So polar fleeing force relates to number 1, revolution of the earth, the rotation of the earth, the gravitation and the tides. Now if you remember, this polar fleeing force that comes from your portion of Wegener's study, right? So this guy who was giving this idea about how continents and formed and all those things. So Wegener gave two ideas here. One force, he said that there was this polar fleeing force, and another he said there was this tidal force, and due to both of these forces, what is happening is the Earth's landforms are changing and they're separating and oceans are created, on all those ideas, right? Obviously, that theory was debunked by later theories. We had like plate tectonic and all those theories. But the idea of polar fleeing force, Wegener actually had linked it to the idea of rotation of the earth, right? So it cannot be gravity. See, tides, it cannot be tides, because tides is something that Wegener had connected it to the tidal force of moon and earth. So that was a completely different thing that he actually had linked it to. Now gravitational force, he did not, again gravitational force, he did link it to the gravitational force of moon and sun that is acting on the earth, right? So that was all covered under the idea of tidal force. Now you're left with revolution and rotation. Again, rotation of the earth is linked to the idea of your Coriolis force and all those ideas, and that is where the polar fleeing force comes into play. That because of the rotation of the earth, the landform is moving towards the poles. So that was the idea that Wegener had given. So the answer of this question is B. And let's look at the last question of the day, which is related to your troposphere. Again, you have to identify the correct statement here, and 4 statements are given. So the first statement is that troposphere is marked by temperature inversion, turbulence and eddies. Second statement is that it is the atmospheric layer between Earth's surface and the altitude of 16 kilometers at the poles. It is meteorologically the most significant zone in the entire atmosphere, and it is also called as convective region. Now you have to identify which is the correct statement here. Now, I think if you've done your basic understanding, if you've done your basic studies, I think this question is easy to attempt. Let's look at the first. Let's look at the first statement here. So, the first statement is talking about that troposphere is marked by temperature inversion. You know what temperature inversion is, like the idea that as we go above from the surface of the earth, the temperature is supposed to drop. But the idea of temperature inversion is that the temperature actually rises, right? So that kind of phenomena is known as temperature inversions, and it can happen whenever you have a cloudy sky at the night, and there's enough heat that was generated, and all that heat is captured inside. So the Earth's Earth's surface becomes colder, and all the atmosphere that was warmed up above becomes much more warmer than the air that is near to the Earth's surface. So that is what is called temperature inversion, right? Turbulences, you have your cyclones, hurricanes, whatnot. So that is also correct. Eddies. Now, what is eddies? Now, eddies is a general circulation that happens in the Earth's atmosphere. Usually it's a diversion from what it's to happen normally, right? So on a larger scale, when we're talking about high and low pressure centers that are there on Earth, eddies may be considered something that is deviating from the general circulation. So we have examples of hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones, anticyclones. All these are examples of eddies, right? The Rossby waves, you have that jet streams in the upper atmosphere. That is also an examples of eddies that occur, right? So basically eddies means this, right? So the first statement is very much correct. the second statement is also very much correct. Like if you know the first statement is correct, even second is correct, because all the rain and everything happens here. So third statement is also very much correct. So we are actually we can remove the option A and C from here, right? So what we are left with is B and D. So now again, if you've seen your map of troposphere, you know that troposphere is much larger on the equator, and it reduces as it goes towards the pole. So at equator, it is somewhat at the height of 18 kilometer, and when it comes down to poles, it is somewhere around 8 kilometers. So that is something that you have, you can easily attempt from your diagram, if you can recall that diagram. So second statement is wrong here, and by that logic, we just left with the B option, and that is also very much correct. In fact, the fourth statement is also very much right, because it is the convective region. You have all the heat circulation that is happening in this particular region. So yes, it is the convective region. So the answer for this question is B. And that's it, guys, for today. Keep on revising. The prelims are coming closer. Do not take any stress. Be calm. Just have faith in yourself and keep on revising and keep on attempting mocks. Thank you so much and all the best.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civilsdaily.